Hello, this is Coding Gicha for full-stack developers. This time, I will cover how to increase productivity by setting up a more powerful working environment in CLI. Since only text is used in the CLI environment, methods are used to supplement the monotony by displaying icons with font glyphs or drawing images with ASCII characters. To help understand images drawn with ASCII characters, I will install NeoFetch. Since ASCII characters are long rectangular characters, in the TUI environment, the horizontal and vertical sizes of the font cell are assumed to be 1:2 ratio and images are drawn. However, depending on the language, the line height, base line, etc. of the characters are considered, so in reality, the vertical size of the cell is larger than twice the width, and the image is stretched vertically. When you run NeoFetch, you will see the logo of the Linux distribution you are using. I see the Ubuntu logo, but the circle stretches vertically to become an oval. In Ubuntu's English environment, the default cell size is 10 pixels by 22 pixels, so you will see a rather stretched image vertically. For reference, in the Korean environment, the default cell size is 10 pixels by 26 pixels, which makes it stretch much more vertically, to the point where it's quite noticeable. Let's change the cell size to 10 pixels by 20 pixels. Since the cell spacing can only be 1 or more, the height cannot be reduced and the width must be increased. If this is done, the horizontal spacing between letters will become wider, reducing readability. If you set monospace as a custom font, it will be 10 pixels by 19 pixels. It is closer to a circle than when it is a system font, but the height of the font cell is slightly lower, so it is shrunk vertically. If you adjust the height to 1.1, the final font cell size will be 10 pixels by 20 pixels. I will adjust the terminal size to 16:9 ratio to match the video resolution, reflecting the changed cell size. For reference, even if you set the same monospace as a custom font, the line height and base line are different for each language. For example, in a Korean environment, if you set monospace as a custom font, it will be 10 pixels by 24 pixels. It is still too long vertically compared to the system font in an English environment. I personally recommend the Nanam Gothic coding font in a Korean environment. If you set the font size to 15, it will be exactly 10 pixels by 20 pixels, but the letters will be too crowded. You can solve this problem to some extent by setting the font size to 14, using a width spacing of 1.2, and a height spacing of 1.1, but the letters will be too crowded and stuffy compared to the English environment. It may be a matter of personal taste, but Terminal Emulator has almost no padding, so it feels stuffy. Terminal emulators use GTK3 widgets. You can set styles such as padding through CSS files. The default padding is 1 pixel, so it is printed almost full without any margins, so it may feel a bit stuffy. I will increase the padding to 10 pixels. You need to restart Terminal Emulator for it to take effect. Let's run NeoFetch again. Now the Ubuntu logo is displayed exactly as a circle, without being distorted. And since there is padding, it feels comfortable and not stuffy. In the Korean environment, Nanam Gothic coding must be set as a custom font to set the width and height of the font cell to 1:2 ratio. Personally, I think Nanam Gothic coding looks too cramped compared to other fixed-width fonts, but there are not many other alternatives. The terminal font issue in languages with more than 2 bytes may be resolved in Ubuntu 26.04 LTS. The default terminal will be replaced to Tixis. Since GTK4 is applied, line height and base line, etc., applied differently by language in Ubuntu, will not be reflected. In other words, at this point, You can set the same settings as the English environment in languages with more than 2 bytes. However, when Tixis officially becomes the default terminal, there is also a fear that line height and baseline, etc., applied differently by language in Tixis may also be reflected. Let's install Git. Terminal's utility tools are often installed via Git, and most development tasks are also managed via Git, so Git is an essential tool. Working in terminal can be monotonous because it is text-based. Nerd Fonts provides iconized image font glyphs. The terminal uses imaged letters to improve readability and provide a visual output. Here, Nerd Fonts is downloaded as a Git clone, but the repository is large, so it takes a lot of time to download it with Git. I recommend directly accessing the Git repository site of Nerd Fonts and downloading it as a zip file. Both the size and download time will be reduced by a third. Let's go to the Nerd Fonts directory. If you downloaded it as a zip file, unzip it and go to the unzipped directory. Let's run the install.shish file. Now that the font installation is complete, I'll delete the directory where I cloned the repository. If you downloaded it as a zip file, delete the zip file in the unzipped directory. To apply the font, I'll restart terminal. The ls command is monotonous in displaying the file list, so I installed lsd last time. However, since Nerd Fonts are not installed, I set it so that icons are not displayed. Let's remove the settings that are set so that icons are not displayed. Pressing D will remove the line where the cursor is. Since the icons of the latest Nerd Fonts are full width glyphs, I will set the separator to 2 spaces to separate the icon and the file name. Let's run lsd again. Now the icon is displayed properly. You may be more familiar with running the ls command and the ll command, but it is a bit inconvenient to have to use a separate command. You can solve this by changing lsd to an alias of ls. You need to edit the .bash rc file using the vi editor, so I will edit the .bash rc file after setting the vi editor to be more powerful. The vi editor installed on Ubuntu is Vim Tiny, so I installed Vim GTK 3 previously. The Vim editor can be configured in various ways to suit personal taste, but it is inconvenient to configure Vim settings again every time you build a new environment, so I manage Vim settings with Git. To manage Vim settings with Git, you need to be familiar with Git-related commands. It is not intuitive, and you have to move to the .vim directory to work, which is inconvenient. Vimy allows you to manage Vim settings with Git more easily and intuitively. To install, simply download the Vimy executable file with wget from the directory where the path is set. I will give you execution permission. Let's run Vimy. You can check the list of options that can be used after the Vimy command. If you run the Vimy command with init or I option, it will clone from the Git repository that manages the Vim configuration or push the Vim configuration to a new Git repository. If you use multiple accounts on the Git server of the same domain, authentication problems may occur. If you specify the username in front of the domain address, you can prevent conflicts. If you set the username and user email globally, you can just press enter without entering them. If you enter the values, they will be set in the local repository. When setting account information in Git, even if it's annoying, if you set it by repository rather than globally, there will be no account conflict problems. The default branch is main. If you use a branch other than main, set it. Set the file to manage.vim rc with Git. Vim configuration is automatically received from the Git repository. The Vim packages are also set up with the information that was set in advance. Since Vim packages are managed as sub-modules of Git, you need to update the sub-modules. You can update the sub-modules by running vimi update or vimi-u. If you configured the Vim configuration from the Git repository with vimi init, the credential helper will be set as the store. After setting it, you can use it without entering the password after entering it once. In Vimi 2.5, you have to run update again after running init, which is annoying. In Vimi 2.6, if you manage Vim packages as sub-modules after running init, a function will be added that automatically runs sub-module update. Vim packages that have been updated to a newer version than the version managed by Git are marked with alphabet M. Let's push to the Git repository to synchronize it with the latest version information of the Vim package. Run vimi push or vimi p. Let's open the .vim rc file with the Vim editor. The configuration that you have been using is quickly and easily reflected in the Vim editor. The Vim configuration set here will be covered in detail in a separate video. When closing a file opened with the Vim editor, you usually press colon and type alphabet Q and bang, but if there are no changes, you can just press alphabet Q and exit. I'll open the .bash rc file with the Vim editor. Let's search by entering force_color after /. Press alphabet N to move to the next word position searched. Press uppercase N to move to the previous word position searched. Ubuntu's terminal emulator applies color prompt by default, but color prompt may not be applied in terminal embedded in third-party applications. Set force color prompt to yes to apply. Enter alphabet X to erase the letter at the cursor position. To move focus by screen, use shift up and down arrow keys. Press colon and enter a number to move to the corresponding line. You can set lsd as an alias of ls so that ls and ll commands are executed as lsd. The alias for setting color and directory group for ls that was previously set will be commented out. You must restart terminal to apply. Now, if you run the ls command instead of lsd, lsd will be executed. ll is also executed as lsd. lsd can also be used instead of the tree command. This is also possible with the ls command. The tree view also displays icons, making it visually pleasing and readable. Terminal emulator is convenient because you can simply run it with the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-T. Nautilus is also a frequently used application like terminal emulator. Let's register it as a shortcut. You can set it as a custom shortcut in the keyboard menu. I have already set up a shortcut key to launch Nautilus. I was thinking about setting up a shortcut key that would not conflict with other shortcuts and would be easy to use. I use the Y keyboard next to the T keyboard used to launch terminal on the keyboard as the shortcut key for launching Nautilus. In my case, Pressing Ctrl-Alt-Y launches Nautilus.
Thank you for watching.